There we go. Yes, everybody. Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. It is Friday. Congratulations. We have done another week. Well done. Slap yourself on the back. And we play Arsenal tomorrow. So what's the worst that can happen? But does it really rain when it pours at West Ham? It has seemed like it this season. And this morning I had a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek sort of review of what's happened in the last 6 months, and when you look at it in not in isolation but in combination, we've been through a lot this year, haven't we, already? And we've still got 12, 13 games left of the season, so what could happen, anybody knows. But anyway, I hope everyone is safe and well. I hope everyone is having a lovely Friday. If you are around, if you are watching the YouTube, I was on Soccer A to Z the other day and won the quiz. And I just want to put a disclaimer: I didn't cheat. I was writing a list as I was talking. There was some accusations made in the comments that I was cheating. I did not cheat. And actually, anyone who knows how much we do in terms of the academy and all the players out on loan know full well people like Julian Robinson, I know, who plays for Sutton United and stuff like that. We'll move on. Anyway, we've got the chat. We've got Will. Good afternoon to you, mate. Hope you are well. Got Matt, definitely not keeping a clean sheet tomorrow. If we can keep the score down to maybe 1 or 2 at half time, we can then go for it in the second half. But would be a hard score to come back from. It's going to be I mean, we say it every game, it's going to be an interesting game. But I think even this week is... I mean, I hate the expression, the perfect time to play them, because I don't think there's ever a perfect time to play some of these sides. But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. Bowling Lounge, good afternoon to you. Hope you are well. I'd play Bowen right attack, Kudus in the middle, and Guilherme on the left with Ferguson up top. Could it be time? Could it be Guilherme time tomorrow? I think it might be. I think it could be. It could be time for Guilherme to come good, or not come good, but give him some minutes. We're led to be believed, according to reports, that he has been Potter has been very happy with his progress this week, particularly, and seems to. The quote said, "Have the bit between his teeth." So whatever that means, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully we'll see. And I think with Paqueta not being there, it gives an opportunity for the likes of Luis Guilherme to take it forward and see what he can do. As I said, I think, in all honesty, we're not going to see Carlos Soler make that deal permanently by the sounds of it, unless he takes a massive dive in his wages, which I don't think he'll do. We might do, we don't know, we have to wait and see. But I think with someone like Luis Guilherme, he is going to be someone, I think, as I said, I think we will see a lot more of next year. Most definitely. Right, let's see who else we got. Irving, the forgotten man, Andy Irving. JWP. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with JWP. I think, in all honesty, I thought JWP had a really good half. So let me sort this out a little bit. He had a really good half. And I think if you start the game with a Souček Alvarez, it was really slow. But maybe the injection of pace of Luis Guilherme, you might see something a bit different. I don't know. There's loads of little subplots going on. I also think there's a major subplot in terms of the left wing back position. I think this could be the game we see the switch. Emerson, I think every game he's started, I think he's the only player who's been subbed every game he's started under Potter so far. So I think there's going to be a switch. And it could be the Arsenal game. I hate the expression free hit as well. But someone like Ollie could come in. I thought Ollie did a great deal yesterday. Last game, rather. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I don't think he did. I think he knows full well. Potter's a very, very we know, and again, not digging you out at all, Matt. But when people go, oh, he doesn't know what he's. I think Moose said a question about it in the presser, and Potter knows full well what he's got into. Full well. It's probably why it took him 6 months longer than I think we wanted him in all honesty. Um, he's very up on his analytics and tactics and things like that. So for me, he's very much a case of he knows what he's walked into, but also he knows that he could easily. I mean, I said, you start. I mean, you look at the results, compared to Lopetegui's first results in charge, and the fan base seems a lot more content than they did under Lopetegui with the same results, and actually, I think less shots on target or something like that, because because we can see what's happening. We can see he's trying to integrate youth team. We can see he's trying to integrate a new formation. Lopetegui came in and played the same formation we've done before and stuff like that. He's moving players around. We can see, he's given Kudus the opportunity to play number 10, which he hasn't taken. I don't think he's taken that. And I think you probably see him play the 10 again tomorrow. And it's another opportunity, another audition for him to have that role. If that's his preferred role, then fucking do something about it, son. Do you know what I mean? So I think he's fully aware, Matt, of what he's come into, mate. Stephen, good afternoon to you. You said it, Russ. We could eat. Oh, it's just West Ham way, and hoping we stay up at the moment. If I'm being honest, being available, then Soler out there knowing different Dave will get the deals done on the last day of transfer windows. Yours. I don't think we will. We seem to really. The only sort of counter to that, I think, and again, I'm sorry, Matt, I'm not taking you out again. It's just your comments, and I think they trigger something else and something which we haven't really discussed in great detail is Carl McCauley in much detail. Now, in the same way that we know that, I mean, to be fair, if we look, in all honesty, from a footballing perspective, there is a chance we would go down potentially, but it's minimal. It is, in all honesty, it is minimal. And if there wasn't some sort of discussion, Sullivan wouldn't have sacked Lopetegui, wouldn't have brought in Graham Potter. I think it's about 4 million quid, something like that, to do that. You don't like doing that. Plus also getting rid of Tim Steidten and bringing in Carl McCauley. We paid Chelsea 1.2 million in compensation for Carl McCauley. Now, with that and with Potter coming in, there would be some sort of reassurances in terms of transfer dealings and things like that. I have no doubt. Potter is a very shrewd character. And I think where before it might have been assumed that we get managers in, head coaches in, who we feel like we're doing them a favour by giving them a job. I don't get that with Potter. I don't get that. I think Potter's chosen us, so to speak, rather than us being the only hitter in town. Because he's getting paid all right at Chelsea. He was still getting paid for his Chelsea job. He could pick and choose whatever side he wants. So he chose West Ham. And I think that's a big thing. And I think with the Carl McCauley thing as well, that must have been part of his rider, his demands. And I think we're going to be a lot more active earlier doors with this. In essence, it isn't. I mean, Potter didn't say it, but it is an extended pre-season now. I think the seasons is from a realistic perspective over in terms of what we can achieve from. We're not getting to Europe, obviously, all out of the cup competitions. It's about getting as many points as we can and get as high up the table as we can. That's basically it. So he's sort of on a, I think by the time the end of the season happens, he will know what he wants in terms of who he wants out of the club, who they want to bring in. We've been linked to lots of players, lots of free signings as well. I think we'll be really utilising the free signing market, and that itself shows some forward planning because you have to get in there early. Hi, Russell. Well, I think Potter will go for Soler, left wing. Not fully matched. not fully match fit, sadly. Well, we'll wait and see. I don't know. Bigging himself out in the team, and he was indeed. Potter strike up. No, I hate that. Will Potter get the time from? Oh, really? Is that if that's true, then that's horrible news. If it's not, you're a horrible person, Sammy. So, Hammered Mikey. If it is, then obviously horrible news. But yeah, okay. Thanks for letting us know, though, Sammy. If that's true, thank you. That's horrible news. Obviously, Hammered Mikey was a regular. Regular antagonists in my comments, but always always a West Ham fan, and we're always friends. So that's really sad news if that's the case. Anyway, let's move on for a little bit. I think Kudos has lost interest and wants to go. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. Sorry. We'll go in the summer. I don't know. I think the whole Kudus thing is a really interesting debate, and it's something we're going to probably talk about later another day with a bunch of other people. I think, we get a bunch of West Ham fans on and have a bit of a mass debate about that, amongst other things. And I think Kudus going, I think it's pretty much guaranteed, isn't it? I don't think the Saudis where he would go, but then we'll see. We'll see where the money goes. We didn't think. Look at John Duran. He's over in Saudi now, and I think that footballers' lives are very short in terms of a footballing perspective. So they want to get as much money as possible, and Kudus has sort of come into more money in the last 18 months since joining West Ham. But we'll wait and see. We must be off the mark quick in the summer. I think we're going to be off the mark quick, Ken. I really do. Really, really do. Because we have to. We've got to try and get in there early because we won't have European football to contend with. But it's getting the right players in. Hammer's headlines. We'll talk about a few players, a few under the radar players, and again, you're going to get these types of players. Obviously we've got Carl McCauley there, we've got Max Kahn in there as well, and so they're going to be identifying players, and particularly in the Pro League, we've been linked to a few more players in the Pro League in Belgium today. That is an area I think we're going to be fishing quite a lot. Hearing Potter wants to make Ferguson, so we don't get relegated though. Well, we know that Potter likes Ferguson. As I said, I think, in all honesty, a Ferguson-type player is the epitome of the Potter system. I know we've been linked with, talking to John. I'm going to take these off, man. Been linked. Mate's getting sweaty. It's warm today, isn't it? I know I've been linked to Jonathan David and stuff like that. But I don't. I know he's a great player, but does he really? And again, we fall into this trap all the time. We buy players because we think they're good players rather than necessarily the right players for the system. For me, Evan Ferguson, that type of modern day Johnny Hartson, is what a decent Potter system works off. It works with that central point. As I said, I keep saying it. When Brighton came down, came to London Stadium, it was always Glenn Bloody Murray. Glenn Bloody Murray isn't a international proven striker with thousands of goals and lightning quick. He's a unit who knows how to play. He's clever and he brings in other players. He's like a target man, an old school target man. And that's what, despite the fact Potter's, Potter ball and always modern, it does filter off best off a target man. And that's why I was gutted when Fulkrug got injured, because for me, he antithesis that central sort of hub that everything plays off, and Ferguson's the same, definitely the same. Damien's trying to sign Andy Diouf. He's constantly trying to sign it. I hope Fulkrug is shipped. Would have started the planning for next season. Oh, mate, he's already done. Yeah, it's already started, mate. Afternoon, Stefan. Hope you up from a wetch. Oh, well, do you know what? I'm not going to say balmy Hornchurch, but you don't need your coat today, I'd suggest. Need a positive attitude for tomorrow's game. Would take a point. I think we'd all take a point. And particularly when you go through and look at the stat attack tomorrow morning, you'll realise that, a point with fucking good results, to be honest. Russ, Mark, hope you're well. When do you think Casey might get minutes, Russ? We are safe from relegation. I don't think you'll get any starting minutes. I don't think you get any starting minutes. But that being said, maybe towards the end of the season, you're right, just to see how it works. I mean, as I said, I think now we're going to see the transition from Emerson to Skulls on that left-hand side. And, by the end of the season, Skulls will have 15, 17, something like first team appearances under his belt this season, which is great going into next season. Casey, I mean, you can go back and watch my my academy, the Kids United video I did yesterday. I mean, there was a chance of Casey. Well, he did ask to go out on loan in January, and the club refused because we were short in numbers and sort of in the sort of centre back. And I think he played really well against Blackburn the other day, I thought. But I think we've got better in the academy. I'll be honest. But as I said, he may. I want him to surprise me. I want him to get minutes and then show me that actually he's the man. And you're probably right. Maybe towards the end of the season, potentially. Yeah, I mean, I saw Lewis Orford come back from getting decent minutes. In the under 20, and he played the under 21s. He looks a different player, so full of confidence. It looks incredible. Depends on what he does for us. If he does well for Brighton, might not want to sell him. I would. I mean, I know we haven't got an option, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of gentleman's agreement there in place. But I don't know. Yeah, we have a masturbate indeed. Jonathan Day will go to a big club, probably. But my counter argument is no one else is. Well, he's been able to sign a free contract agreement since January the 1st. He is the hottest free property in Europe, but then he ain't signed nothing from no one. Which maybe he will go to a bigger club, but none of the clubs have got in for him yet. To some extent, we know it's been reported by the likes of X and various other news that we've had talks with his agent, but then we haven't. Nothing's happened going forward. So there we go. Ties winning GF from the Swiss league. I don't know about the Swiss league. Becoming very mur West Ham. Well, if you get a bit mur West Ham, go and watch a video did this morning, Damien. It will cheer you up. It's that gallows humour that is being a West Ham fan is all about. Ryan Batch, yeah, we spoke about that a few weeks ago, actually, when it came, the news broke that he was going to be signing a new deal. The club have made that official now. Good, nice player, lovely boy as well. Yeah, good player. Let's not fawn over Potter until we have some results. Just saying results, please. Yeah, Andrew. But then I think that, again, the counter to that is when we were getting results, people like under David Moyes, people criticised the football and said, "Oh, we're not playing very good," and people go, "Oh, it's results-based business." Oh, you always saying it's results-based business. So there's always that yin and yang, as I say to Ralph. There's always that yin and yang. So I think, to be honest, Andrew, there's from what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've witnessed, there is a real buzz around the club now, which we haven't had for 18 months. It's great to see. Is Vera free? Don't you think needs to sign before March? The only, I don't know, but I think the only prerequisite was that they had to be a free agent going into January. So like Craig Dawson, if Craig Dawson was left out, his contract was null and void by Wolves, we couldn't sign him unless it was before January, in the January transfer window. We could sign him after January transfer window, but he had to be a free agent into that. But apparently he's gone to Derby. Apparently so. We may be losing another player actually before Monday, but I'll talk about that at Hammer's headlines. Priority is getting 13 points from our remaining games. Quicker the better. Pity, not fit. Can see him winding the defence up. Yes and no. Actually, I quite. I mean, Paqueta's come out of the Potter era reasonably well. I think he's a much better player, and I'd like to see someone else get a chance to shine now and just put Paqueta on his toes a bit when he comes back. So if Luis Guilherme comes into the side and plays really well, where does that leave Paqueta? Carlos Soler. He could make a late charge. But I know what you mean. It's a shame because we want our best players to play. And when you look at the players we've got unavailable, all of them are first team players, really, aren't they? Really, barring injuries this stage of the season, will probably be used sparingly. Possibly. I think Potter wants. As I said, I think he's almost not treating this like a pre-season. I don't like that expression, but you've got the opportunity now to have a look at players not in pre-season in actual match environments. So I think there's some players he's made decisions on already. As we said yesterday, there's players who are in that pathway. I'm assuming. I mean, I've not assumed now, but for me, Ollie Scars is a first team player now, first team squad member. He's not an academy player now. So that's one in. You've got the likes of Lewis and Casey, who I think on the pathway. Then you welcome back the likes, So, and I think those are the three you'd probably see get minutes. I don't think there's anyone else outside that we're likely to see coming in this season, bar any not craziness, but bar any sort of. You could point to Emeka Adiele. I'd love to see him come on and get some minutes. I think he's exciting. I think the fans would love him. Really direct, fast, sort of left wing back. And that's why I can see sort of the future going forward. Emerson maybe even being sold in the summer and Adiele being that second choice, or maybe go out and get a second choice with Ollie taking the first choice maybe, or something like that. That's it, I think, in terms. You may see, I don't know, no, you probably won't see Ezra Mayers. He's still a bit green, I think, to bring in there. But that's probably it, I think, for the time being. But the next season, I think you'll see a lot more. We're playing better and have more, and have many injuries. Blinker to ignore that. Every other team mentions their injuries. Yeah, we do. We've got plenty of injuries, mate. Plenty of injuries. Happy Hammer, I hope you're well. Caduce's going to be excellent tomorrow. Do you know what? I was going to make that exact point. He played really well. Was it against Liverpool or something like that this season as well? He'll have a good game. But the trouble is he'll try and do too much. And that's the issue with Paqueta with Caduce. He always tries to do too much. If just dial back a little bit would be good. I never get Mayor of West Ham. I get angry with him. Not as much as I used to. He comes with 35 years. Ken, and go and watch the video I did this morning. That's exactly my point. People sort of criticise and say, why are you so bloody positive all the fucking time? Well, it's because I'm used to it. I'm hardened. I'm calloused. It's like when you used to play the guitar. After a while, your fingers get this sort of hard skin on it, so you don't hurt when you push the strings down on the frets. We get calloused over the years. So they couldn't charge a phone. When you play against the so-called bigger teams, you need people with self-confidence to take it to them. I agree. I don't see why we are going to turn transitions into goals. I don't see where we are going to. I don't know either. Simon Paul Pogba. Yeah, okay, mate. I know about you. Pogba is world class, and yeah, he did have baggage. Totally, I'd still clear of him. Oh, talking about Pogba. I wonder if there's any truth when we were linked to signing in Nesri. There's probably always truth, Jay. There would have been some conversation said by someone to some who. He's one of those ones, isn't he? He's one of those ones who, we can add to the list, the Carlos Bacca list, the, Ida Johnson list. But yeah, all good. Caduce, that's where he needs to improve his game. Same as Joe Cole, when to pass and when to kick the ball. Do you know what? I think, for me, I don't think Caduce has got a phenomenal. Now, how am I going to put? I don't think he's very quick. Got great feet, very quick, very direct. But does he have that sort of Paqueta-esque football brain? I don't think he does. He's more raw. He's more powerful. He's more speedy, and I don't mind that at all. But when he has to think, a bit like Antonio, when Antonio had to think, then he would always muck it up. He's an instinctive player, I think, Kudus is. Arsenal for life. Looking forward to see Rice tomorrow. We are indeed. Maybe we'll bring along our European Conference League trophy because that's the only thing he's won since joining, hasn't he? Anyway, yes. Do you know what? Declan Rice, thank you for giving us £100 million. I mean, to be honest, last year I think we sort of managed to see the season without him. This season, I think we've really missed him. You've got a hell of a player. You've got one of the best midfielders in the world. No denying that. And you paid for that privilege as well. And yeah, he always gets a clap. I've got a picture of him from Canning Town Len, which I bought like a week before he left, of him holding the Europa Conference League trophy, and he'll always be in that bracket. Over 200 appearances for West Ham. Ham of the Year twice, captain, and always going to be part of that. And he was always going to go to a club who were competing in the Champions League, and we're winning things. But unfortunately, you haven't won anything yet. Rice OG coming, own goal by Rice. What we got here? Ollie is the left back for next 5-10. His tools, what he brings, great left peg. Not got Billy Big Nut yet. Wonderful talent. Who can I get back? Very humble boy as well. Very humble boy. West Ham boy as well. And I think he's just got I think he's got it all in his locker. He's got it all in his locker. And you got to think left back. And again, I know we're getting ahead of it all a little bit. How many young English left backs are there? There ain't many, is there? There ain't many, and there's a real opportunity for him to do something special at West Ham and possibly England, going forward, he's going to be playing regular West Ham football, regular Premier League football. Maybe next year might be a bit early, but 21 action definitely. I'd see him in the 21s, and then who knows, So there ain't many, are there? After this sort of this latest crop of sort of defenders goes, so we'll see. Last time he won was still at West Ham. It was indeed. Yes, but good point. Real Madrid? Drew Real Madrid in Champions League another season. Did they get through? I didn't know. Lewis Hall, Livramento. I'd suggest that Livramento's more of a right back. Lewis Hall possibly. Kyle Walker-Peters is 27, mate, so he's past it now. But I don't think not young, not Lewis Hall possibly. But that's not bad having a couple of players competing against each other. Happy Amaret. Will Potter start Skulls against the Arse? I think yes. I think that second half against Brentford, to me, shows what isn't working. First half, rather. And the second half, he rectified it. And we were much more balanced. We had a better game plan. We looked better. And I think we'll see something a bit crazy tomorrow. Not crazy, but a little bit more out there because of Paqueta being unavailable. Potentially with Todibo back in the side as well. With Ferguson having another week under his belt. With JWP now, another week under his belt. I think you might see something a little different. I don't know, Maltese. I can only obviously someone put in the comments that he's part. If he has passed, I mean, it's a really weird thing not to say, or to say rather, if it's not happening. So we send our condolences to to Hammer's Mikey's family. Obviously, I'm sure they're not watching, but you know what I mean. So it's not nice. It's not nice at all. As I said, Hammer's Mikey was a constant thorn in my side when it came to comments. We had a good old battle, me and him, all the time, but always taken in good jest. And he won a few prizes. He was a channel member as well. Won a few prizes. So I'll try and see what we can, if there's anything we can find a bit more about him. Hammer for life. You got cheaply, hardly plays game, should have had under thought we lead it. Yeah, you're right. You're right indeed. He did well there. 20 games in and still only got 5 minutes. Oh, happy Amaret, will you listen when I talk to you, please? When we signed Luis Guilherme, Tim Vickery, South American expert, said he wasn't going to be someone that you would see play this season, probably. An expert, not a fat bloke talking in front of a webcam. No one listened to that bit. Although I do think Luis Guilherme will get some minutes tomorrow for sure. Luis Guilherme, you'll see a lot more next year. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. It's what big clubs do, isn't it? And we're not a big club really, but they spend money, they buy players in. I mean, look at Chelsea. How many times they buy players who never get a minute of football? I used to see them play under 21s turn up, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Abraham Delap, add scars and pots. I'm a dreamer. Is that what you're thinking about next season? Is that our side next season? Or are you talking about England? I don't know. Arsenal with PSV, and yep, indeed, Real Madrid they did. And was it Villa Club Brew? Or Villa got a decent one, didn't they? Still live. Have I caught you before you go? I'm still here, mate. I'm still here. Don't worry. Thank you. Now, go to bed. Ex-Hammer free agents, Lucas Perez, Coyote, James Tompkins, Fredericks, Dan Potts. I think, I always thought we could put a little bid in for. I wouldn't mind James Tompkins being back. Hasn't he played the under? Because he's a first team player, and he's in the first team, and he's training in the first team, and that's what's happening. He's not. He doesn't want to. The idea was he was not going to be involved in the 21s. The idea is he's in the first team and he is integrating. He's only 18 as well, but obviously a boy from Brazil, learning the ropes, learning the side, learning the culture. And then next year, rather than having that transition period where he's got to learn everything, he goes straight in. That's basically. And that's pretty much a bit like the Brighton model. The Brighton model, one player leaves, they've got one behind him ready to go. I think Guilherme starts tomorrow. I said it at the beginning of the show. So you already heard it earlier. Lewis will be, I think his pace just that's his preferred route anyway. Similar to Kudus. Kudus prefers to play as a cam, and so Lewis. Can you imagine again? Big man taking the ball on, knock over to Kudus, knock over to Guilherme, rapid players, absolutely rinse a defence, no problem at all. Apologies if he covered, but what is Potts' injury? Not Stevie Potts. Freddie's got a slight knock, and so didn't play against didn't play for Portsmouth the weekend. Could be back for this week, but nothing severe. Not as severe as Michael Forbes, who's come back from his loan at Colchester United. Hi, Paul. Hope you well. Personally, I'd rather have Tyler Dribbin than Luis Guilherme. Yeah, good shout. Good play. A great chance with Paqueta out if he's ready. Yep, I totally agree. And if it goes to the beginning, that's what I said. He could have played week in and out. We had offline. No, Scarles was very much a 21 being brought into the pathway. There's different there is different classifications in some of these players. It's not one size fits all. It was Luis Guilherme. He wouldn't have developed at all just playing 21 football. Not at all. But the idea is he goes in and he's training every day with the players. And he's had a couple of run-outs for the 21s, but when they've played in the League Cup, National League Cup and stuff like that. And obviously he's had a few half dozen appearances, for the first team coming off the bench and stuff like that. So that was his trajectory. Scarles was always in the 21s with a view to bringing in as and when required. And I think his progress has gone on leaps and bounds this season. That's why there's differences. Same as Lewis Orford, for example. Lewis Orford is a 21 player who's pathwayed up, but now for me, Scarles is now a first team player. Percentage of Ferguson staying, Russ? Who knows? He's got his manager, the guy he loves, looking after him. I suppose it all comes down to money, doesn't it? As always when it comes to football, unfortunately. was replaced because I thought originally, but yeah, Caduce more likely. Yeah, he will be. Well, there. Pay attention. We have Guilherme. Cost another 40. He would do. Please let the gods shine on us tomorrow. Let's hope so. Yeah, do a happy Amaretta said. Give the West Ham Network a good old like, please. And if you're watching this on catch up, in the comments, just put a little cross dammers or a smiley face or whatever. And if you are new to the channel, please don't, you know, forget to subscribe. It does help us. Some people think they're subscribing, but they're not. So there's a little button down there which says subscribe. If it's red, you're not subscribed. Click it. It goes grey. Then you're all set, my friends. You're all set. For all the great stuff we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got some real fun stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks, my friends. Let me pause that. That's it. Very fun stuff coming up. I guarantee some very good, what's it called? Guests as well, which will be fun. I'm looking forward to one of them as well. Probably going to be next week, and some new show formats as well. So, thank you, everyone. Everyone liking good. Do you think the board will back Potter and something? Yeah. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because I guarantee. Well, firstly, Sullivan wouldn't pay £1.2 million for Carl McCauley as head of recruitment if you're not going to recruit anything. Why buy a new head of recruitment if you're not going to recruit people? I think we'll have money. I think we'll actually, personally, I think we'll be utilising the free transfer market. Got a feeling, and again, that sort of pearl diving. I don't think we're going to necessarily go out and get players who are Premier League ready, so to speak, in terms of like his Premier League based players. Maybe, you never know. Possibly, with some of the relegated clubs, maybe. I'm thinking the likes of Aaron Ramsdale, maybe, or someone like that. But we've been linked with other players as well. But I think he'll be backed. I don't think we'll have hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds, but he will be backed. And in terms of skin, I think, from a PSR perspective, we're okay. But I just think it's a cash flow perspective, and cash is king. And I think one of the reasons why I know they were looking at getting the cash, like getting some cash in the bank now, so to speak, is to hit the ground running at the beginning of the summer transfer window. That's the way I view it. Others may view it differently, but there we go. Hope Potter will get the Kudus money if he's sold. No, I think he will do. Amadou Aurora was released by Anderlecht. What a fall from grace. Belonging to Napoli. Well, there we go. I also don't remember a season where the board haven't claimed they were Brasset. Well, again, it's typical sales sort of spiel. If the ball goes here with flush, we've got Potter's got hundreds of millions of pounds to spend this summer. Oh, great. Hello, this is West Ham. I want to buy this player. Oh, okay. Well, I know you've got hundreds of millions of pounds because the board have said it. So therefore, it's double the price or 50% more. It's basic sort of like, we always cry poverty, so no one knows that we've got money. It's like if someone phones me up and says, "Oh, we've got this deal. I can only spend a £5 on it, so I've only got a £5." It's like you've already set your stall out. People think. I think some people think, there's always a play. There's always a play. They have media departments. They have marketing departments. They have, people they speak to who release news like ITKs, like Sean and people like that. Everything is done for a reason. Nothing. Everything is. I think sometimes I think we do fly by the seat of our pants sometimes, but I think that is just West Ham. That's always been West Ham. I know that more than anyone in terms of the job I do. But I think stuff like this, for them to say we're flush, all the clubs are going to be here. Coming in West Ham, off you come. So I don't. So it's all. It's all a ploy, as Matt says. This video is sponsored by Rebel, the official energy drink of West Ham United. Not an ad. Do you think we'll get beat tomorrow? Probably. Won't send out the new. He would send out the raw details. Yeah. Well, again, there's no real time frame with that. We've been led to believe they're going to try and do it early, but I think they're trying to do it early to get cash in the bank, get cash to have cash flow to then spend in the beginning of the summer transfer window to get people in that we want. And again, like I think Anton's going to do a thought. There's been a lot of people done a lot of videos and stuff about the interview or the podcast, Karen's podcast, and I think Anton's going to do. He sort of said to me, I want to do something a bit more thought out and sat down rather than reactionary. So that's what he's currently planning at the moment. So there'll be something probably at the end in the weekend from his perspective. But I mean, football fans are based on, if we have a good result and then we have a good result, and the club will tend to do a discount for shirts and stuff like that. But that's the way. That's marketing. That's not just West Ham. That's every other club in the country as well. They do the same thing. I think sometimes we go, "Oh, it's just so West Ham." Like, "Oh, we're doing this," but Newcastle, they go, "Oh, it's so Newcastle," or Spurs, "Oh, it's so Spurs." Everyone has their own thing. I think we assume there's some things I think that is just being a West Ham fan. You have to get used to. But I think a lot of the stuff is reciprocated in other clubs as well. What's your score predictions? I'm going to go for a draw. Go for a draw tomorrow. Right, we need Brentford to beat Leicester as Leicester will put pressure on us. We have a striker. They don't, but they will have 70% possession. Heads 2-3. God knows where 3 goals come from. Head 2-1. Do you think we'll win tomorrow? I will stat again. Happy to bring in 1 or 2 and just keep what we have unless someone meets it. I think a lot of those players' values have gone down massively this season. No, I agree. And I think the Kudus thing, I agree. I don't think he's out the door. He'll only be out the door if they meet the release clause. We won't sell him unless that happens. And will people want to pay £85 million from then? Russ, do you know what happened with the mix-up being announced? Yep, Martin got it wrong. And was reading and wasn't reading the board. Yeah, he got it wrong. Typical Martin. We actually not typical. He doesn't do it very often. But an absolute clanger, wasn't it, that day? I'd be happy with a low block draw tomorrow. Alvarez, for example, went from being 10 at 50. Not sure he would be perceived half of that. Not sure it's the right time to sell. It's like stocks and shares, isn't it, Damien? It's like, when's the best time? He could. I mean, like with that video this morning, he was doing well for West Ham. And he goes to Copa America in pre-season, does his hamstring or whatever it was, wasn't it, his thigh, and was out for the first part of the season. So you could sell him and then he gets injured, or you could sell him and become amazing. That's the risk you take. That's the risk you take of every transfer. Who was the idiot that announced Rodgers and then Ferguson? Yeah, West Ham. That was Martin. If West Ham can deal with the set pieces and win the battle in the middle of the park, but Tross always performs well. Yeah, he does. Maybe some move for him. I don't think he fits the profile at the moment. I think he's a couple of years down the line. That interview angered me. Made me feel pretty heartbroken about how much West Ham has changed. Again, I get it. I get it totally. Part of me feels like that's just how football's changed as well. Every football club is set up as a business. Football is a business, and it's about making money, and it is, and there's no getting away from that fact. If you don't make money, you die as a football club. You do. And to get investment, to get people to spend, to give you money to then buy players, you need to be making profit and stuff like that. I just feel that sometimes, it's an indictment of football in general. And I think because it's your club, then obviously there's an extra layer of association there. But as I think it was Clarence Boot. I think Nick put a comment on my video this morning and goes, "Oh, it's like," but it ain't about West Ham. Ain't about the players on the pitch. West Ham ain't about the board. West Ham ain't about even the supporters turning up to the game. West Ham's a family. West Ham's a community. Fuck, a lot of people here never get to a game. A lot of people here are in all over the fucking world. A lot of people here are, whatever. But if we needed something, if someone needs some support, if someone needs anything, the West Ham family come together, and that's what West Ham's about. It's about family. It's not about business and stuff like that. That's all part and parcel, but the core will always be the core, and will always be about community and fans and togetherness and this sort of community spirit, which doesn't matter if you play at London Stadium, doesn't matter if you play London Upton Park, doesn't matter if you play at Hackney, I don't know, the park down the road. West Ham, what epitomises West Ham is that community. And you see that, all the ex-player nights we go to and stuff like that, they sell out. Same fucking story. Stories ain't changed, but they sell out because it's a chance to get together, have a beer, have a laugh. And that's what I was trying to get across this morning as well. Would love to see a back three of Aged. Yeah, me too. That's what I want, mate. Thank you very much. Indeed, another good player. Ryan's a really solid academy player, really solid, dependable. Very can play a number of different positions as well. He can play midfield. Started as a defensive player, good player. We were right up against Arsenal fans and loved to give them banter. Yeah, that's what it's about. Thank you, Peter. Much appreciated. If Netflix gets to football, can we end big crowds? They would offer a season for live games per game. To be honest, I've always thought that's the way football's going to go. It's going to go a bit like if anyone's got Apple TV, you can get MLS TV on there, and it will move away from that. I think you'll still get big crowds because, again, I was talking to a lad the other day and he was talking about the end of the season. He said, "You know what, Russ? This season it's about seeing my mates, going for a pint, watching a bit of football, having a laugh, and going for a beer and a kebab afterwards." And you don't get that watching it on Netflix. You don't get that watching on Sky. You don't get that watching it on watch along on YouTube. And so that sort of closeness, that sort of togetherness, you'll always have that. So I don't think you'll get that. Do you think Potter regrets coming to us and not going to Everton? No, I don't. He had a decision, and he made his decision. He knew what Everton was like. He knew what West Ham was like. He knew where the ceiling was of Everton. He knew where the ceiling was of West Ham, and he made a decision. And I don't think he'll regret it at all. West Ham to me is about the player bench. No, I get it. I understand. But Damien, West Ham to me is me and you. Me and you. It's Happy Hammerette. Players come and go. But it's the fans that stay. That's the point I'm getting at. I know more than anyone. We've had over 100 ex-players on the channel. We've had players who have not even made a first-team appearance, all the way to players who have made hundreds of first-team appearances, and everyone in between. But I, they lived my dream. They've all lived my dream by putting on a West Ham shirt. But when I talk about West Ham, for me, players come and go, and the memories stay. But it's the fans that remain, and that's what I'm alluding to. Big love from Valencia. Thank you very much. Ben, how's it going? Ben, you're the one who emigrated, moved to Valencia, didn't you? How's it all going, mate? If it is you, I hope. Otherwise, it's very coincidental. Hope you're well, man. People always go to the grounds and matter how much they're being ripped up. Totally different experience to watching at home. You're totally right. I was watching Everton and a test event. Ground looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. But Darren, it's quite interesting. There's a lot. I was watching following it on Twitter and looking at a lot of shit. I follow Toffee TV. I love Pez, good, a friend of ours and stuff. And reading a lot of the comments, it's not. This is brilliant. This is going to be fantastic. There's a lot. Same when we moved to some respect. Saying, oh, it looks soulless. There's no, it doesn't say Everton anywhere outside. All this, it's too cold. It's going to take 35 minutes to walk there from the city centre. So it looks brilliant. But even there, and I was thinking, oh, Everton fans will be buzzing. We shouldn't leave Goodison Park. It's our home. It's literally history repeating itself. It really is. Potter would have done due diligence and shouldn't be living out any surprises. Exactly, Evan. And Potter knows enough people in the business as well to talk to people about West Ham. He probably even spoke to Moyes. I wouldn't be surprised, and people like that. So there we go. Everton fans don't want to leave their home either. Yeah, I agree. At least they have football say not so. Very true. Very true. Yeah, I loved going to Goodison Park. I'm always being stuck behind the bar. Always being stuck by the fucking obstructive view and having to do this. Oh dear. But it was a great place to go. You get your cab from what's the name? The is it Adelphi, wasn't it? Always a great atmosphere. Obviously, what's name's out is in the docks. It's about half an hour. I think Pez did a walk. He walked it, and it's about half an hour, 35 minutes. And it is very cold, apparently. He's literally he's sitting on the dock of a bay. It literally is. If they don't play that song, they are stupid. So he's sitting on the dock of a bay. And so in the winter, guaranteed West Ham gets drawn away to Everton in like December, and there'll be absolute icicles coming off their nose, particularly the steep banks as well. I enjoy it pre-match from far more than 90% of the time. The most loyal fans will always go. They get us over a good proper barrel. But you're right. You're totally right. And I think that's what a lot of people missed when we had lockdown was that pre-match stuff. When you go to the Carpenters Happy Hammerette and having you sing songs and stuff like that. That's what people miss. That's what people enjoy. So that will always happen. But if they even let people go to the ground, they'll stay in the pub longer as well, won't they? To be honest, always happens to Goodison. I have no idea. No idea what's going on. They can only increase prices so much. It's not affordable now for a dad and two kids. I agree. It's very expensive. Football is very expensive. West Ham is very expensive as well. How is it? Who would everyone rather sign if the club could help? Who would everyone rather sign if the club could help? Or Ferguson? Don't understand that, mate. But again, it's good as been turned to Toffee Factory. Very good, really good. Very about Soler. Valencia fans love him. They'd have him back, wouldn't they? If you do a stadium redesign video debate, ain't gonna happen, mate. You know what I mean? It's you just keep putting him up on Twitter, Adam, instead, mate. We'll see what happens with the stadium redesign video. Show the picture of the. Do you know what? As I said, I saw the Beast of Hornchurch a week ago, and it went so quickly, like a cheetah. But it wasn't a cheetah. As I said, for anyone who's new, Delap. Okay, for anyone who's new, Osborne Road. I've coined this cat the Beast of Hornchurch. Because it's the biggest fucking domestic cat I've ever seen in my life. Was it called a moo? Is it something Moocoon or something like someone was saying? And someone showed me a picture of his cat, and he was cuddling it like out here. And it's I've seen it being walked by its owner, but it looks like a jaguar. It's got that. It's anyway. Mancoon, that's it. Mancoon, thank you. Does Cummins come into the first team squad or under 21s? Well, if we're led to be believed, he's going straight into the first team squad, or he'll be involved in the first team squad. Whether that is akin to a Louis Guilherme, I don't know. That is apparently was part of his negotiations, in that he would be someone who is, the likes of Danny Ings and people like that leaving, he would be going into the first team squad setup. And according to X, all done and dusted, but the club are maybe not necessarily announcing it yet. It's all signed, but they might choose to wait to the end of the season, possibly, just to ensure, in case, he does his leg in or breaks his leg or whatever. And you can just imagine West Ham announcing it, and then next game he's out for the rest of his career. So that apparently is done and dusted. A handy Diouf Bradley Loco from Rem and bring back Aged. No, I want to bring back Aged. Lapis going to City is their first refusal. TB is in the house. TB is in the house. Ain't real, bruv. I see one of them in the fields. Honestly, they're massive mancoons, and it's like beast of Hornchurch. Think Marshall will be sold if Cummins comes in. I think Marshall. I think Cummins comes in now ahead of Marshall in terms of the pecking order now, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Marshall. He's obviously he signed a new deal before he went out on loan to. So I think he'll come back and he'll still have a year left in his contract. So it'll be interesting to see what happens then. In all honesty, as I said, I'm not too sure what will happen. But yeah, I think he's above him now. Cummins in, yeah, I agree. If Krasinski is so filthy, why don't he build us a new stadium and all the fans will be happy? Oh, because ladders, because he's going to spend £500 million. Do you know what? It's like the fact is West Ham are onto financially onto a good thing with the stadium deal because it's something which we can you can't if Everton got in trouble because of how they tried to fund the stadium and lost points. You can't, in terms of PSR, you can't just go, there we go, it's a brand new stadium. There we go. He's not going to put money into a club. He's probably not going to get £500 million, £500 million, or £1 billion, whatever it is. He won't get that back either. If someone said to you, right, there we go, you can spend a fifth of your wealth or on a new stadium, which you're not going to get any return on investment on. You ain't going to do it. That's going to be funded by sponsorship and stuff like that. So it's not that easy. Would you guys start Irving tomorrow? Probably not. He's an investor. Nothing else. He's in it for the money. Yeah. Football is a business. I keep saying that. Football is a business. Unfortunately, there are very few owners in the game who actually support the club properly in that respect. Football loses, for a lot of people invest, they actually lose money in it. It's a bit of a loss earner, to be honest. And I just think it's, I think we fans think it's relatively simple. We also think it's relatively simple to sign players as well, which again winds me up and be we didn't sign Well, actually, it's fucking hard to sign a player as well. You know what I mean? We need to step back a little bit and look at it. There might be 20 clubs after a player and stuff like that, or someone could offer him European football and they can offer him more wages and our wage structure. We're, from a financial perspective, we're pretty all right. You know what I mean? Adam will attribute it. In terms of Kieran Maguire, he says some quite complimentary things about West Ham in terms of their PSR standing and stuff like that. Do you think Krasinski will sell his shares as he is? No. Not at all. He likes having minority stakes in everything. Does he have shares? Yeah, he does. 10%, I think. The club is just an investment. He's not bothered with how the club are overall. Well, he is, because if they go down or anything, he loses money. So he's in the same that if Sainsbury's lose money, he'll be worried about it. If Royal Mail lose money, he'll be worried about it. So he's an investor in the same as all the other board members, and the same as every other club as well. If the club do well, then there is dividends on those shares. So it's sometimes so easy to just say things, and it's like, I get frustrated when people, you should just give us the money to do it. What if you had like 100 quid and someone say, right, okay, give us 50 quid now, you're not going to get it back. Why? I like Callum Marshall a lot. He's top bloke. There's a lot of love from the Northern Line boys. Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have indeed. Royal Mail's our new sponsors next season. One positive we can hold is that we haven't had a drubbing yet. Well, yet. Do you think recruit model will look like? My biggest question: who handles negotiations? No idea. Just, I still think we need a Tim Steidham person involved from a business perspective. But we'll see. What are your thoughts on Nestle being a sponsor? Any West Ham sweet related puns? I'm sure there could be, my friends. Aero, just for the bubbles, as Amazon have taken over Bond ownership, will they drop interest in us? Why would they? Why is it one or the other, Peter? Tomorrow never dies. Amazon aren't getting going to buy West Ham, Peter. They might be sponsors, but that's it. Yeah, well, that's what you're saying to. Our new sponsor should be Billy Smarts as a run like a circus. Yeah, it's a business, but the board should be careful. We get relegated. The graduate, where's the business sense in that? Yeah, but we ain't going to get relegated. As I said, the board always, and we've said this again, I might put a lot of this on replay and just press it. The board, I'm 99% sure Sean said this in one of his videos he did, the board always budget for around 10th or 11th each season. And that, to me, and I think it was Gio made a really good point actually in one of his videos. So that West Ham probably rely more on Premier League football than any other. And I totally agree. I think that's why the Potter sort of sacking, Potter hiring and Lopetegui sacking was a little bit left field, a little bit, because I don't think we were in much risk of going down. Not saying not, he's still a possibility. He's not guaranteed. Still another 13 points. Well, I think you're probably less points this season, to be honest. But unless we were floundering in the bottom three, I don't think, unless there's, and that's why I don't understand why the Potter thing happened when it happened, because he wouldn't have made a change. He wouldn't have made a change really, because West Ham rely on Premier League football. If we got relegated, we'd actually pay less rent. Season ticket prices will go down and stuff like that. But I don't like the expression football tourist, because I've been a football tourist. I've gone to Barcelona and watched a match. Tom's in the chat. Me and Tom on my stag do. We went to Barcelona to watch Messi play at the Nou Camp. I was a football tourist, but if you're and that's really run on Premier League football. There will be a percentage of the attendees at West Ham in the same attendees at Spurs, at Arsenal, at Chelsea, at Fulham, particularly Crystal Palace, who will be people who are in London and want to watch a football match. And they're not going to watch a championship match. They want to watch a Premier League match. So that's why Premier League football is very important to West Ham, because also that person will then buy a shirt, a scarf, a hot dog, although we don't get any money for the catering, a program, and that will always be part of the business model, because that's the way football has gone, and that's the way football's been. I mean, I was married. I've been married 13 years, so we was in the Nou Camp 14 years ago. So football tourism is nothing new. Kieran spoke to me the other day and said that spending money on improvement and it doesn't count towards pre-bar, can spend money without parish. But it does count towards the other one, though, because that's what Everton got in trouble with, if I remember correctly. It's worth setting his wife is richer due to ticket prices. Supposedly he had a huge salary, can't find a gem. It would be good when some of it returns. Doesn't mean we can build a new stadium. I think he's diversifying well, safe that way he is. Right. Don't want to build a new stadium. They're onto a good thing. They are onto a good thing. You know what I mean? And again, this would have been our stadium. This would have been our stadium if it weren't for Barry Hearn and Tottenham fucking it all up. We would have had our stadium. And we'd already, and then the sort of the backup way was then to become a tenant. We would have owned the stadium, wouldn't we? And it was only the court injunction by Hearn and Levy stopped that and went through a tendering process, of which then Spurs tendered themselves with no interest of even becoming a thing, but just for shits and giggles. Look at our main fixtures. There are two that stand out as possible wins. I can't put money on us winning them. Will the board sell up for definite if we were relegated? No. If Spurs get taken over by the Saudis, do you think they can actually win something? I get the tourist draw to watch a match, of course, but why so many? They have no knowledge, and the fans are to blame for the lack of atmosphere. Interesting question. To who? Football tourism is big business. Again, keep saying the word business, but it's true. I think also, and again, we're in isolation. I think the fact is that at Upton Park, that wasn't so much of a case. We had 36,000 people. We had lots of seasons. You didn't get as many free seats, available seats. And I think with football tourism, it's more. I think we're seeing it more prevalent now because we've got more seats to sell than we did at Upton Park. Now, I guarantee every other club in London, bar maybe Crystal Palace, I'd say, or even Palace to some extent, have the same thing. Have a lot of football tourists, have a lot of people turning up, and that's always going to and that's always a factor. That's always a factor. But in the same way, as I said, I can't criticize football tourists because I've been one. I don't know any of the chants when I went to Barcelona. I don't know any of the chants. I bought a shirt. We were chatting. We were having a laugh, having a giggle. I guarantee there were some Barcelona ultras who probably didn't want me there. But the fact is, I can go down La Ramblas and I could buy a ticket in a bar for the game. That's how open football tourism was. In fact, I think Barcelona, if I'm right, at a time at the Nou Camp would hold back. They would not sell 10,000 tickets each game for the exact purposes of football tourism. So they would get at least a minimum of 10,000 football tourists at every game. Extrapolate that, that's probably about the same percentage, if not slightly there or there, but that was 15 years ago. So I think football tourists, I think it's something which I really, really sort of is an area that I think people get on their high horse about. And I'm not criticizing you, but it's a great comment. The fans aren't to a lack of atmosphere. It's the players, and it's not. And for me, that's one of the real fallacies about football, about West Ham. We've seen really, and again, I think it was James. I think James Jones on We on West Ham, and they clipped it from Twitter and stuff. And it's a really good point, and it's something that I've been saying. Upton Park weren't all fucking roses every game. We weren't all chanting. When we were losing 3-0 to Leeds at home with Mike New up front, I don't remember us all singing together and cheering like we were. No, we weren't. We were shouting. We were walking out. We walked out at 70 minutes. It's not. I think we have as a fallacy that Upton Park was always raucous, always, the place. It wasn't. I remember some dire games there. I remember some dire atmospheres there. And I think with West Ham, it's the same here. It's the same at London Stadium. We have some awful games. It tends to be, in all honesty, the sort of the Saturday, the sort of the day games, the evening games. I think there's always that sort of added little bit of spice in there because it's under the lights. But it's those day games, and we are trying to do stuff but we can only do stuff so far. The fans will always turn up. The fans will always sing bubbles, and if the stuff on the pitch isn't replicated, then the fans will get quiet. Because you can't cheer. It's like, if I went to a comedy club and the guy weren't funny, I'm not going to laugh. And that's the same. If I see on the pitch and there's nothing for me to cheer about, I ain't going to cheer. And you'd be a mad person if all you're going to do is constantly cheer for 90 minutes, not being entertained. Oh, sounds quite cathartic. Spurs have loads of... indeed, they do. How long before... And it was a temporary fixture. I had no idea. When you went to Barbers, didn't you think of them asking to give it... Oh, shut up, Peter. Drop the London bit on our shirt. It's embarrassing. Second shirt, row down, wonky. It is. It's dropped slightly, isn't it? It has dropped slightly. If that's the only wonky thing on my shirts, I'll take that. If anyone's seen Anton's. But the whole day was brilliant and passionate. We lost loads. But you've said exactly the whole day, and you just said the bit you enjoyed most was pre-season. Every part of the journey is memorable. I don't think when we were pissing down, we'd lost 3-0 against Leeds, and I'm walking down to Upton Park Station. It's in the pissing rain all for an hour. I didn't find that very Memorable, but enjoyable, nah. Nah, he's wank. Brilliant. Oh dear, you weren't saying people weren't saying that when we played Sevilla. That was one of the most amazing atmospheres I've ever had at West Ham. Most modern day comedians are as funny as piss. Remember at Upton Park against Wolves lost 3-0 for you're not fit to wear the shirt. Upton was indeed, yeah. I remember plenty of times, lads, and you would as well. Now this is the I might do a whole show about this because I think again it's one-offs. Yeah, it is. It is one-offs. And I think there's one-offs. I think Upton Park there were one-offs. In reality, there was probably about half a dozen, 10 games which were really good a season, and the rest were meh in terms of the atmosphere. And that's the same to at London Stadium. I genuinely believe that, and that's my opinion, and I can feel it because I literally can feel it. And I don't understand what in the match day experience, such as that's the thing, because everyone goes, "Oh, we need to invest," and I said, "Well, how?" Because then you're going to get criticism, like, because then it's forced. Then I think it's forced. So if you get like the tifos and the flags and the fire and then that isn't that. Then people will criticize. Then exactly, it'll become a franchise. Yeah. And then so you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So I think it's about finding that middle ground. But I think it's worth having a conversation because people do say that quite easily. And again, I'm not digging you out, Damien, but people just say people message me all the time. Oh, you guys need to sort it out. You sort the music out. I go, okay, well, what do you want me to play? Just sort it out. There's no, if someone said, look, I'd love you to play this track. I think it'd be really good. Great, I'll play a track. Give it a go. Do you know what I mean? Just wish we could knock it down and start again. Well, ain't happening. Why don't they put the halftime scores up? That's a good idea. Do you know, lads? I'll make up. See, something like that. I'll pass it on to the Lords and Masters. That's a great shout. I remember we lost 5-0 and I called in Sky Sports having the moan. Indeed. Managing environments is important in any profession. It certainly isn't. It certainly is, Damien. It certainly is. Anyway, I'm going to have to go because I didn't think I was going to talk for an hour and 42 minutes, hour and 12 minutes. But anyway, thank you very much for your time, peeps. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble. Keep the faith and much love as per usual. Take care. Bye-bye.